perfect in all of your ways. Let me stop. What's up? Good morning. It's Thursday, and I hope you guys' week has been going well. I'm excited. We got some really cool guests that are coming on here today. So go ahead and text. What's up, sweet pop? Bitches on here. Yes, turn up, man. Let's go. Oh man, hey, you gotta come down. I don't know. You been at Destin? Has you brought Benji down here?
You come out here.
This place, I love it. Jeremiah, hey, CC, Palmer, what's up? So I'm excited to have you guys here this morning. We are going to have some great wealth conversation this morning, Lisa and Jamie. So go ahead and share this feed right now. You guys that are on here, go ahead and do a watch party. Yeah, do a watch party. Let your friends and family see this. Ooh, I warmed up some coffee that I had yesterday, and it was hot. But no, we're going to have some really great wealth conversations on here today. Martina, hey, Marnette. And so you definitely want to get on here. I also am going to recommend that you grab your journal. It's always good. Sean, what's up? To have your journal so you can take notes. It's always good to get some reminders. And I'm excited. How was the balcony, babe?
It's nice.
It's nice. I'm going to go out there. This is my beautiful daughter, Brittany. She made us breakfast this morning. That breakfast was everything.
I'm glad you like it.
Such a good cook. We gotta eat the rest of this food before we leave.
I know we can't eat that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so excited to have you guys on here. Go ahead and share this feed. Let me start with prayer. Father, right now we thank you. We give you praise and glory and honor. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We declare and decree that this is our receiving day. This is going to be the best day of our lives right now in Jesus' name. Rise to the occasion. I declare now a trailblazer anointing, a history-making anointing, a forerunner anointing, that we get to the money before it gets there. Money is always chasing us and running us down. I thank you for wealth transfer. I thank you for old and new money coming to us from multiple sources in increasing quantities. Thank you for mega expansion and mega increase and mega influence and mega wealth running us down. I thank you every about the sound of my voice that 2020 will be a year of the supernatural. It will be a year of great economic signs, wonders, and miracles. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, guys, let's go. I see my boy Randy here. What's up, Randy?
What's going on, Dr. Joe? What's going on? Thanks for having
me.
me.
I'm excited. Thanks so much for jumping on here this morning. Always love chopping it up with you. We always have like such a great time. And I was thinking about the title name of today's wealth conversation. I was like, from military to millions. What?
Man, come on. That's military to millions. That's it. So Wanda, she'll be on in about 10 minutes. You know, we doing, look, the schooling going on too. She got a conference with the teacher, but it'll be about 10 minutes. So
I totally get it. I think you guys are such a great example, really, of, you know, a power couple that's doing it big with family and doing it big at home with business. And, you know, your children are learning the whole time. They're learning that mommy and daddy got to get it in. We got to do what it takes. Guys, I want you to share this feed really quickly, too, because I'm getting ready to dive into here because I want to hear a little bit about Randy's background. And the reason the reason that I wanted to put that on there is because a lot of times when you think of the military, by the way, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. But when you think of the military, most of those guys, a lot of times, I mean, just in my perception, and maybe my perception is wrong, but my perception is those guys really never come into like wealth. You know what I mean? They do okay, but not seeing abundance, you know, and extravagance, you know. And so talk a little bit about your background. Guys, go ahead and share this feed, especially to people that you may know that are in the military, coming out of the military. Share this feed because I believe that the information that we're going to talk about today, it really is game-changing information. So, Randy, go ahead and talk to us a little bit about your background. And is my perception right or wrong?
No, you're on point. I mean, you get the average maybe financial advice sometimes, depending on maybe who your supervisor is, I guess, per se, because once you're in the military 24 hours a day. So it's assumed every 24 hours that's you. So they want you to have well-being. They want you to have the mental fortitude. So when you go, maybe you deploy to the Middle East, you're not thinking about your finances. You're not thinking about your family and what's happening. So they definitely want you mentally ready so that you get the basic advice, right? Save money, but not investment. You don't, and when you get ready to leave the military, they have this transition program, and it's more to teach you how to have a job, right? And it's not really talking about the entrepreneur, it's not talking about the money system. So absolutely, my financial literacy didn't come to, I started self-educating, okay? So reading the books, finding the mentors, actually applying the information. So just give my full background. I joined the military back way 99 when I was 18, almost 19 years old, a young teenage dad, had my first child. She's 21, going on 22 this year. And I'll tell you, that was just a life-changing decision for me back then, because I was born and raised Compton, California. So I came from very humble beginnings, gang-infested areas. I mean, I was just about all of California. That's the story, okay? But I got away from that environment so I could grow. I didn't know what would happen when I joined the military. I was enlisted. So that means I didn't go in. I didn't have a degree when I went in. My eyes wasn't set on becoming an officer and leading. I was just trying to get out of my situation. So I enlisted in the Air Force. And my first job was being a simulator driver. So what that means is I was pretending to be a pilot. So it was kind of like a alternate job of what my real career field was. But I knew that God was always in the plans. I'll tell you as we go through this story. So my first job, pretending to be a pilot, and all I would do every single morning would be there with like 10 other airmen. I was a two-striper, so I had 2 stripes on my sleeves. And we would get there, have a little fun, but then we'd get on the computer. And the controllers, we were teaching young students how to control fighter pilots. So it would be like Viper 1-2, turn left 180. And my only job was to go in there and look at L 180 and then repeat it back to them. Viper 1-2, copy, turn left 180. And then the goal is, once they got us close enough to the target, we would say, tally on the target or whatever that lingo was at that time. And so that was my job for the first, about the first year. But I think it opened my mind up to, I wonder if I can become a pilot. Now, mind you, no one in my family was ever a pilot before. My uncle, he served in the Vietnam War. But that was about it. That's all I knew. As a young kid growing up, he would just talk, just fun stuff. But, you see Charlie, just little childhood memories I had with my uncle there. So I started dreaming about becoming a pilot. And I got in contact with one of the colonels, and I asked, what does it take? He said, you got to get your degree. And then he's like, just get around us and we'll kind of teach you some things. So I just started dreaming about becoming a pilot. And so just to kind of speed the story up, like, I obsessed about becoming a pilot, to the point when I did enroll in school, and my goal was to get as close as I could. So that one of the second jobs that I did, I wanted to be a controller, a weapons director. Now I want to become, from pretending to be the person, turning the aircraft on a computer, to actually being the controller on the other end speaking. And so I went to controller school. Took me about 6 months. Once I finished that, I was now controlling fighter pilots. So I'll be the person saying, hey, target here, turn left, and just guide them if they need the direction towards the target. So that was my second job. So now what I was in charge of, so the elevation's happening as far as the talent, and what I know, and speaking on the radio. And so I would have to go up and brief the pilots. There goes more obsession. Like, man, I want to do this. This is exactly what I want to do. So I completed school while I was in the military, while a lot of my friends were probably out partying because I was in Party Central. I completed my bachelor's degree. And of course, there are a lot of obstacles in between that. But when I finished, I got ready to put in my practice, even started working on my master's. But at that time, let me tell you the biggest part. I had the dream car I've always wanted. My first time getting kind of a brand new car. Back then, young, when I was 23 years old, had a Navigator, 24-inch rims. Back then, that was big rim. I don't know what they got these days. They got 30s. Back then, 24-inch rims. And just what kids do, okay? And I was so obsessed that I decided to sell that truck and purchase an airplane. And so because I
what kind of plane did you get?
I got a Piper Cherokee 140.
Ah,
yeah.
Nice.
140. And back then I didn't know you could purchase a plane. Obviously, I went and did some research. I'm like, you can purchase an airplane. So I was at the Aero Club, And back then it was only like $4,000 to finish your private pilot's license. But and it was like like $100 per hour. And so I figured if I bought the airplane, I can do as many hours as I want once I'm able to solo, or it's going to be cheaper for me to go through my flight school to get my private pilot's license. So I sold my truck, went to the bank, got the loan. I remember flying down to Florida, Clearwater, Florida, in this airfield community, and I bought my first airplane, bought a Piper Cherokee before I became an officer.
Wow.
Yes. Yep.
Great
And
job.
I did that because I was told, and I was watching people, most people, their backgrounds, their fathers were pilots, their grandfathers were pilots. I didn't come from any pilots. So flying wasn't just a natural nature for me. Okay. It was something that I had to work on. I had to put the time and the hours in. It's not most of the kids that I knew when we were going through pilot training, they were flying since they were 18. Here I am, 20, 24, 25 years old now, getting ready to go through pilot training. So I just put myself in that airplane as much as I can over the weekends to get used to it, to not be scared. Because I'll tell you, when I said I wanted to be a pilot, and I was in Iceland when I went to my first Aero Club, and I remember the very first introductory flight. If you ever went in Iceland, it's very windy out there. So my pilots, when there's a lot of wind, there's a lot of turbulence and jumping up in the plane, especially when you got a little crop hopper. Okay. So I remember the first introductory flight, and the instructor's going through all this stuff, and I'm lost. I'm way behind the plane. Okay. And while I'm behind the plane, the bad thoughts start going in, like, maybe Randy, you might have bit off on too much. Maybe being a pilot ain't for you. Going like trim up, you go to the side, trim up here, you're gonna get, push your nose down a little bit, trim up the plane just for your landing attitude. It's going, I'm back there before you started. And so those thoughts did come in, like, maybe this ain't for you.
Yeah.
But the want and the desire was so much that I said, nah.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm sure even then there weren't a lot of Black pilots, because there's still not, because my husband's a pilot. He's obsessed with being a pilot. He loves flying. We're at our Destin condo now because he's like, we're flying to Destin. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, I see you guys.
Yeah. And so you really were already a dreamer. Obviously, you were dreaming. You went and bought the plane, which I'm sure at that point, did you know any other Black men that were buying planes, especially in the military?
No one was buying planes. But it's a community. No. So yeah, I defied odds. So listen.
Yeah.
I want you guys to picture this, okay? Young kid, 23 years old. I buy a plane. My brother was playing ball in Florida Atlantic University. So I already have my private pilot's license, and my little brother comes down to Panama City, Florida. So I'm in Panama City. My brother's in Miami. And I was like, we're going to take a trip down there. So me and my little brother, we hop in my airplane. Back then I got my Air Force Ones on, jeans, and we fly to the airport, and we hop. I land over at an airport in Miami and hop out, and the security guard goes, "Oh my God, I've seen it all. Bro, did you just fly in?" I said, "Yeah, I just flew in." He like you flew that airplane right there. Like, this is how foreign it is to him. Okay, I'm hopping out the airplane, Air Force Ones on. Like, just put that thing on the ground. Yes, it's just me. I'm the pilot. I'm going to go check in into the FBO up in here. So, truth be told, yes, absolutely. It's we have a lot of history. I got to, Herbert E. Carter. I got to spend time with some elite Black pilots back in the days who made it possible for us. The Tuskegee Airmen out of Alabama.
Wow.
So, as a young lieutenant, I remember being the president of the ASBC. It was a course that lieutenants went through. And so I got to spend time with Herbert E. Carter, got his signature, everything. But that was powerful to understand what they had to go through for us to have the privilege to fly. Okay, because there was no equality for us to fly.
Definitely. Well, what's crazy is even a lot of private airports that we fly in today, we fly in a Millionaire FBO you're probably familiar with, and they're cool, but it's like,
Yeah, you don't see it.
Yeah, you
don't see it at all.
You don't see it. And what I want for the viewers that are watching right now, guys, go ahead and share this feed. Like, seriously, you got to get around people that are doing things bigger than you, that are doing more than you, and that are dreaming. Because if you don't hang around people that are dreaming, the dream that's on the inside of you will lay dormant. See, here's the thing. This conversation right now, this is a wealth conversation. We're hearing the start of how he got to where he is, and and of course still growing. But this conversation is important because it's not just about accumulating the wealth, it's accumulating the mindset. It's understanding the process, right? So you guys need to share this feed right now, right? So text somebody and call them and say, listen, are you on this Facebook Live? You got to hear how this black man, come on now, let's be real, became a pilot at a young age. Not only did he become a pilot, but then he was bold enough to say, I want a plane. Nobody else was really flying planes at 23 years old. So you defied the odds. You got around other black pilots that made it possible for you. At what point, Randy, did you kind of say, you know what? I want to be rich. Were you thinking that at 23? I'm imagining you had to be thinking, I want to be rich when I.
So that process definitely, it's crazy because now you make me think and go back. Was I thinking about the money back then? Yes, it happened in 2007. So I transitioned to becoming an officer. I got to do my dream, okay, become a pilot, fly, deploy to Afghanistan, do all the great things. And then, of course, the family and the money does come in, right? You realize when you have a family, like even being a pilot, because sometimes we will equate our job to, once I get to my job, my dream job, because that's a job still, okay? Then I'm going to be good with my family. We feel that our job is our wealth. And I had to realize when I got there, that wasn't my wealth. Becoming a pilot, most people were like, wow, he's a pilot. It was awesome. But financially in the military, it was okay. But what was I doing with my money? Still wasn't investing my money the right way. I was a young lieutenant, still wasn't doing all the right things. And so in 2007, that transition happened for me. And I think that, and I'll tell you.
Okay. Make sure you unmute. We can't hear you. What you may have to do, sometimes this is weird with StreamYard. They're still kind of working through this. Try to talk now. If we can't hear you, you have to jump off and then come back on. And then we can hear you. Guys, that is so good, though. That was great information. So you kind of start hearing that process because you've heard it before, but it's so true, right? A millionaire mindset is not, you get the mindset before you get the millions. And it's something that you have to keep working on because sometimes people will read a book or they'll go to a seminar and they'll be like, that's it. No, wealth is something that you need to have wealth conversations on an ongoing basis because those wealth conversations are triggers. I like to call them wealth triggers, right? Where you start feeling like, bro, I do want that mansion. I do want that vacation home. I want several vacation homes, right? Or you know what? I do want that G-Wagon or I want that Range Rover. Like you can have all of that. And what happens is you got to step first. He made that step in 23. And this is really good, especially for those people that have been in the military, because I'm so grateful for, the military and all that they've had to offer us over the years, the service that they give. But my heart goes out to them because a lot of times those guys are struggling or they come back from war and they're having a really hard time with even adapting or finding a quote unquote job. And so this is an opportunity for someone in the military. You don't have to be in the military, but we're just talking about military today. This is an opportunity for that person to say, you know what? I want to live the life that I always dreamed about. I don't want to just get by. You know what I mean? I don't want to just get by. I want to live that life. So, okay, we got to that. Yay. Okay,
Put
great.
My phone, do not disturb, so we should be good now.
Okay, cool, no problem. So anyway, so that's really good. So you stepped out, you defied the odds, because I know there's somebody watching right now. Maybe you're not in the military, but you're like, dog, I know it's more out of life than this. So talk about, because obviously you connected to somebody that kind of helped to cultivate for you and your family that wealth mindset. So talk a little bit about that relationship and how pivotal that relationship led to other relationships. And now all your relationships are probably pretty much in alignment with what you know that God is calling you to, which is mega wealth. I believe everybody on here, I'm an extremist. Let's be clear.
Me and you together.
Hey, I believe that every person that wants it.
Yes.
Because you got to be hungry.
Absolutely hungry. There's going to be obstacles. So, there was a shakeup. So prior to me becoming a full-on pilot, I think I got shaken up security wise. And I met my beautiful queen, my wife, during this shakeup. So when I went down to Corpus Christi for my specialized training to become a C-130 pilot, I was going through the course, and there were some. Let me just give the full story. I'm doing fine. I've never failed a flight in flight school. Okay. And I get into this one situation with this colonel, and I'm doing my last check. And very weird conversation. I'm just leaving. Very weird conversation. Let me just keep it straight. He said, don't think whatever result comes from this, it doesn't have anything to do with your appearance, you being black. That's straight conversation. I'm gonna keep it real. Okay. That's what happened then. And I didn't think anything of it as a young lieutenant. I said, of course, sir, no problem. It's full bird corner. Like, of course, I'm gonna go do my deal. I've been prepared for this moment right here. Okay. And I do my flight. And at the end of that flight, I did everything correctly, right? Proper descent, all that. Anyways, get back. And the conversation, I can tell the energy that he's about to give me. Like, is he about to twist this on me? And he goes, man, I really want to pass you, but that descent, it just small. Yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe it was happening. You have that moment where you're like, this is really happening. And the colonel was basically saying, you're hooking this flight. And it was your evaluation flight, your EP. It's the most important flight. That's like where you go to the next level. If you don't pass that, you're done. You can be doing good the whole time. You're done. And he goes, you were unsafe during the flight, blah, blah, blah. And literally failed me. And everything that I worked so hard for over the past year and a half, gone. I had brand new, my girlfriend at the time, which was Wanda. I remember going home and I couldn't believe it. I remember crying on her shoulder, and she was my support from the beginning there, but that shook me up. But the way that I operate, I immediately kind of shifted, bounced back, and it took about 3 days to accept it. I was out. That train was over. And so where I believe God led me to is I had to go work for the seventh. He was a 07 in the Navy, so I had to be kind of his secretary. And so he'd see me every morning, and then we eventually had some conversations. But I was going to see him for my last. Like, he determines whether I'm out. Okay. Well, during this shakeup, we had to figure out what my next step was going to be. And I was already transitioned. I was like, I'm not going to be in the military if I'm not going to be a pilot. So me and my wife, this is what led to our entrepreneur track. We had opened up a store in the swap meet where we started making $3,000 a month doing that. I was selling on eBay. So my entrepreneur sparked up. And so I started reading. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. So now I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to do real estate. I'll be out. My mind was out. Okay, I haven't got my wings on yet. But now the seed has been planted that, wow, you can make more money. No man has to control you, because I felt weak. I felt hurt that one person could control my dreams. And so God just opened up another door just for me to peek into it. That's what over the next 9 years of me being a flyer, it would change the way that I looked at flying. I didn't look at flying like this is my life. Okay, I looked at this is an accessory to my life. This is going to get me up. So get what you can get. And so, long story short, that 07 that I was being the secretary for, I had to go meet with him. And when I sat down, the first thing he says, "Tell me what happened." So I go through the whole thing. I don't mention really the conversation a lot to him. I mentioned, yeah, this is what happened, but I said I never felt a flight. He goes, "You never felt a flight?" I said, "I've never felt a flight at all." Okay. He goes, He says, and I was a prior enlisted guy. So all the things I've done before are adding up now. Right? Guys got ready for just that moment. And so he's going through my books. He said, "Oh, you were a weapons director. You controlled airplanes." So he said, "Okay, young man, I wasn't ready for this." He was going to sign that paper and I was done. He said, "I wasn't ready for this." He says, "Typically, I never go back on my commander's decisions, ever. I want you to know that. Okay, give me 24 hours. And he went 24 hours. We came back and he says, "I'm going to put you back in the program." Yeah. And he says, basically, don't mess this up, because I've never done this before. And I get back in the program, of course, get through flying colors. And I go, and I'm a pilot. We go to our first base, which is Dyess Air Force Base. And I'll tell you, I look back at all those stepping stones, and it's like God put me in every place to win at. When we went to Abilene, I gained a lot of real estate there. Okay, I became a real estate agent and a real estate investor there because I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. No better place because the properties were cheap. So I started flipping properties there. Obviously, when I deployed, I was still deploying out of there. So that's what sparked up the wealth inside of me.
That sparked the whole thing. Wow.
And talking about that, it was the lack of security, because there's no such thing as security if you're not the person running it. Okay. And you know what's crazy, Dr. Jewel? Last night, man, I got so pumped up. I was reading, because I've been telling this story over and over again about the parable. It's about investments in the Bible. Okay. The parable about the 3 servants and the talents. And I read it out of the New Translation, the NIV. I wanted to read all the.
You guys share this feed. Share this feed.
Yeah. I wanted to read all the terms because it was important. Over the past 2 years, I've become a student of now banking, investing, because it all relates together. It's all interconnected. I don't care what country you're in, right? Our money system, you know, I don't like to say it's rigged, but it's just the system. Like say, the money system is rigged and the bankers are stealing from you, but you don't know it because you don't understand the money system. You go to school to learn how to do a job. That's why when you talk to people, their dream is, I want to be a doctor. My dream is, I want to be a lawyer. My dream is, I want to be a pilot. My dream is never, I want to create generational wealth for my family. And if we go to the Bible, right, we go to that parable, okay? Anybody, just read the parable, the 3 servants. And what it says in this parable is there was a master, and he was leaving for a long time, is what it says, okay? And what he says, he left some of his goods, the gold, or in the NIV version, they said he left one $5,000, okay? He left a second one $2,000, and he left the third one $1,000 based off their abilities. So when it specifies that, I looked at it and says that's based off our job level. Think about it, based off our abilities, based off what we can do or what someone thinks that you potentially do. So this boss, this master, okay, gives you an hourly wage based off your abilities. Okay? But then it further goes to say he left for a long time, and when he came back, wow, the first servant immediately went to work when he gave him the 5,000 and doubled it. Wow. And in one translation, it says that he traded it. That's what I love too. I'm like, so I'm gonna go deeper in that one. The one, he says he traded and made $5,000. The second one, he went to work, was able to double his. He doubled his to 4,000. Then it says the last one said these words. This is what got me. He was afraid. One translation said he was afraid. One translation said he was scared. So I think scarcity. Okay. But I was scared because you were a very harsh man. You like perfection, basically. And I didn't want to upset you and do the wrong things with it. So I went and buried it in the ground. That's what he said. So that I wouldn't lose a cent. And so when the master came back, or what I would say, when your boss came back and said, hey, what'd you do with it? The first one said, I doubled it. I made an extra 5,000. He said, great work. He said, because of your great work, we're going to partner. Yeah. Partner. Good. I want you to hear that. Okay. He said, we're going to partner. The second one, same thing. He said, great job. We're going to partner. You were able to double the money. You knew what to do with it. The last one, he said, one translator said, you wicked and slothful. The other one said, you lazy. And I looked at it. He says, you could at least have put my money in the bank. That's where I paused at. I want you to hear this. I went to all translation. The bank was in all of them. They said you could at least, that means the last thing you should do is put your money in the bank. But at least put your money in the bank so that I could have made a little bit of interest. Wow. Okay? So I look at that translation. It's almost the same, and it said it goes. The other one, the old school one says you're going to be sent to gnashing your teeth and all that good stuff. So that tells me they're going to try to send you to the worst place ever. What? For not growing your money. Wow. For not growing. And that could be not using your talents. Okay. Whatever that is. So if we don't multiply. So I believe scripturally, we're supposed to multiply in all things that we have. Okay. That includes our spiritual. That includes our relationship. That includes investing in our children. That includes our money. And that's the one that people miss. Right. It's the conversation that most households skip because why? We lack in it. And because we lack in it, we want it to disappear. And we just smooth over there with everybody else. Yeah. And so that one, I mean, you just see me around the house running around like I cannot believe this right now. And so and then it goes further to say that what the master did with the last servant, he says he took the 1,000. I want you guys to catch this because it's happening. He took the 1,000 and he gave it to the first servant. He didn't split it. Now listen, he partnered with both. He didn't give it to both. He didn't split it up and give it to the middleman. Y'all got to hear that. He didn't give it to the middleman. He gave it to the top one who already had doubled his money. Yes. This, folks, I want you to hear this. We have 3 classes in our society right now. It doesn't matter what country you're in. We have lower class, our poverty, right? Okay, yeah. You're still expected to multiply whatever it is you have. Okay, you have middle class. Okay, we know how middle class living. Yes, life looks great, but you're still spending money. Maybe you might be saving a little bit, but you're not upper or elite class, right? Your money is not working for you, right? So he gave that money not to the middleman, not to the middle class. He gave it to the upper.
The rich get richer.
The rich get richer. Right?
The poor get poorer.
It's biblical.
It's biblical, Randy. That is so good. Guys, put that in the chat right now. The rich get richer. Now, you need to see yourself as rich, and this is why this platform that Randy and Wanda Webb, y'all look so cute together, by the way. This is why we're all partnered in this platform together, because it is like saying, you know what, I'm going to Wealth Academy. You know, people sometimes say, well, how long do I need to stay apart? As long as you want to keep growing, because everything is changing. So I'm so excited. Your husband has dropped all kinds of wealth triggers on here for everybody today. Just put in the chat right now, the right partnership. Come on, type that in the chat, because some of you right now need the right partnership.
Yes.
If you're already trading with us, great, kudos to you. Dig in, take it seriously, put a demand on yourself to grow. For those of you that are not trading with us, you need to get back with the person that's on whoever watch party you're on, get back with them. Don't sit here and hear all this information and just sit on the outside, right? So, Wanda, from your standpoint, because we know, girl, that this has been a male-dominated situation. And we're changing that, though, right? We're changing that. And I know that a lot of women have not seen themselves necessarily learning about banking, learning about money, but just talk a little bit, Wanda, from your viewpoint. Why is this important really for every human being, whether you're a man or a woman? But I want to talk specifically just for a minute to the women, because sometimes women can be a little sluggish when it comes to saying, I'm about to handle my business where this bag is concerned.
Yeah, I get that. I think that if we're just honest, what's up, all the ladies that are on the call? I'm a little late because I was on a teacher conference for all these kids. So
you get it.
You know, I think sometimes we have to first admit what we're intimidated by. You know, it's natural just across the board for I know all men and women to just be intimidated by a financial conversation anyway. When you start talking about money and currencies and global currencies and the relationship between economies, people shut you off right then and there. Right then and there, people are intimidated. They stop listening. And here's what you have to understand. We know that you don't know because at one point we didn't know.
Right.
That's not a reflection of who you are and your value. You just don't know, right? It's not a reflection of how much you're worth or your intelligence. Yeah. There are amazing people who have no relationship with no really healthy relationship with money. We get it. We know this. This is not a secret, right? We know that the Federal Reserve is very aware that 78% of the economy right now, 78% of people with a checking account have less than $1,000 in their checking account. They know that about you. This is not a secret. But for us, we think it's a secret that people are hurting. It's a secret that we don't know anything about money. We don't know how to calculate our mortgage. We don't know how to properly save and invest. It's not a secret, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's just put that. I think what we need to do is put it on the table. Yeah. I think a lot of us have grown up in atmospheres where, or even as a child, we grew up poor, right? But the adults around us, they don't want to say, hey, we're poor. Hey, we're getting by. We're good. As a kid, it's growing up. You don't ask questions about mama or daddy's money. You don't, that's rude. And so we grow up culturally believing that it's rude to talk about money, but really it is insensitive to not talk about money. For me to see you as a whole human and to ignore the number one tool that we all use on this earth, regardless of who we are, what we look like, or what economy or what we're involved with, we are constantly using one tool. There's only one tool that all of us use globally. Man, woman, black, white, it don't matter. And it's money, but it's the one tool that we're so sensitive about. And we're so sensitive, Dr. Jewel, because we believe this is a reflection of our value. It's not. Okay. All of us on this line are very aware that we are building a heavenly downline as well. And so first, just understand, this is not a reflection of your value. If you don't know something, you just don't know something.
Right.
All right. So relax your shoulders. We're
Yeah.
not going to beat you up for where you
Yeah.
are. We just want to say, hey, I get it. I was there at one point too. Let me
Yeah.
unravel some of the mysteries
Yeah.
of this economy for you so that you
Yeah.
can just be a little more enlightened. You know, some of the things that we've been studying over the last 2 years, once we got involved with this, we had a craving to understand banking, to understand economies, to just understand where's the money at. You know, when you're watching the news, Dr. Drew, and you've got all these old white men making decisions and we don't understand what they're doing, we're scared to admit that we don't understand.
Right.
But I'm here to tell you it's designed for you not to
It's
understand.
right.
Yes.
So you need to understand
Which is
because
why
there are things happening that are happening that you wouldn't have approved of in our economy. And so we got to first say, listen, I know I don't know today. I know when it comes to money and when it comes to this economy, when it comes to understanding what those little numbers at the bottom of the screen and that ticker mean on the news. I get it. No one's taught you. But we don't believe that that's a reflection of your intelligence. We just believe it's a reflection of your network.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want to just change up your network a little bit so you can start to slide into some of these conversations, because what we know, the reason we're passionate is because we know that if someone like us just put it in some familiar language and make it simple, you would naturally be a beast at it. Our communities are naturally investors. They make something out of nothing.
Come on.
Listen, since I was a little girl, I knew how to currency exchange food stamps.
Come on.
I know it's 2 for 1. I know that a US dollar is $2 worth of food stamps.
Woo!
Right? I know it's 2 for 1. I know I get 50% of my value and you can't tell me otherwise. But then when someone comes to our life and says it's the same thing, but we're playing the big boys game, we shut down because we think we're going to be made felt stupid. We're going to feel lesser than. We're going to be talked down to. We're so used to people with money, we think, making us feel lesser than. So when someone that looks like us wants to have a money conversation, we're like, oh, I don't want to admit that I'm broken. I don't want to admit that I might be lacking some financial IQ. I don't want to be an adult and have to admit that to you. But listen, we're all putting ourselves out and saying we were there too. We get it too. We made bad choices too.
Absolutely.
We didn't understand that these credit cards were 25% compound interest too. We get it. You know, we didn't understand that student loans were 7% annually compound interest, whether you're making money or not too. We get it. So what you need is for someone to make it plain. Someone that can speak your language and say, oh, this is all that means. All that means is, harmonics. All that means is triangles, patterns. That's all that means.
Yeah.
And so for someone to make it plain, and for the women that are on the line, I know that traditionally, when people think about money and economies, that we don't think of ourselves being in that place. But that's just because you haven't read the same Bible I read.
Come on.
Because Ruth was charged. She was charged with taking care of not only what she had, but she was charged with making more so she could take care of her in-laws, even when her husband wasn't around anymore.
Yes.
So we actually, women, we have been charged with having some know-how of our families. What seeds do we have and how much harvest will it be? The Proverbs 31 woman, she's not just making scarves and selling them in the market. She's doing a lot more than that. It says 31:8 that her lamp doesn't go out at night because she's checking her profitable trades to make sure that they're profit. And so too many times we have this internal struggle. Here's what I know, Dr. Jewel. When our belief system and our value system collide, we do nothing. And so our value system says, I know I value money. I value investments. I value making sure that my children, my grandchildren have something. But my belief says that the man of my home should really kind of be doing that. And I don't know. And so what happens, the man of the home is lacking just as much financial IQ. So you now got two people that don't want to admit to each other that, hey, we don't really know what we're doing.
Yes.
And so I'm just telling you, you're not the only one. If you think you're the only one who's an adult who does not understand this economy, who doesn't understand why people are excited, that doesn't understand that all assets right now are dipping in value, this is the time to buy. Every 10 years, the world's on sale. Maybe you don't have your stuff together now, but you have 9 years to get ready for the next recession. And so I think what happens, if we're just honest, Dr. Jewel, the reason why women might say that this don't feel like something that they can do is because they're just intimidated. They never really had these higher level conversations when
Right.
it comes to money.
That's what
But
it is.
it's okay. We
That's
know
what it
that.
is.
That's why we're offering an opportunity to hear it from
Good.
people who can just make it plain and put it in your own language.
That's
Yeah.
so good, Wanda. You just preached the whole thing. I want to hear from both of you really quickly, just some bites because we're getting ready to wrap. But you guys are doing this as a couple, which I think is great. You're also, the children are at home. There were times where Randy made a lot of sacrifice and would spend 3 weeks in Africa building teams, teaching them how to trade in Kenya and these small countries. And we're seeing lives change literally all over the world. Did you guys sit down with your children and say, listen, mommy and daddy are not going to look like, 9-to-5ers. That's not who we are. What was that process? Because I think sometimes when people see entrepreneurship, they see investing, they're like, oh my gosh, but what about my family? You guys have obviously had some conversations with each other and obviously with your family, just in short bites, because again, we're about to wrap, and I think this is important.
Well, I was about to say they were born into the life. Really.
Yes.
They were born into the life. I mean, life is easier, way easier now. Like even when we started building the business, because I mean, Wanda immediately, like I said, she took on a lot of responsibility. I was gone 4 months away. And so there were times I only called home once a week if I could. So we never, coming into network marketing, what we do now in trading, right? This was easy because I was used to being away 8 months out of the year. And so we kind of, when we went into our first company, we kind of just took on that same thing. Now it's like, I can get up and go for 1, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks. And it doesn't phase Wanda because she used to me going for 4 months. And so this time it was me pulling up my ladder to our family's wall, like our family's creation, our family's generational wealth that we're building on now. So we knew that we had a means to the end.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. It wouldn't always be that way.
It wouldn't always be that way. You understood that it was going to be sacrificed. And I want to say, and thank you for saying that. I want to say this to people that are watching. As a matter of fact, people are texting me. Their watch parties are going crazy right now. Guys, make sure you get back with the people that have contacted you in your watch party, because a lot of people are watching your watch parties and ready to make a move. But this is what I want to say, that you have to sit down and have a conversation with your children and say, listen, these are the sacrifices that we're making right now. But on the other side, this is the life that we're going to live. Our daughter, Brittany, flew down with us on Tankard Airlines, thank you, Lord, and is enjoying this time with us on the beach, on our condo in the high rise, because of the sacrifices that Ben made, the sacrifices that I made. Sometimes she wants to get in on this. Hey, baby. I can see you. Okay, so Britt, real quick, and 2 sentences we hear from Wanda. You've seen Daddy and I work really hard over the years. We've made a lot of sacrifices. I'm sure some of those times you're like, this is a bonus. But now getting on this side of wealth and having quality, what would you say to parents that are watching that maybe feel like, I don't know what my child might say? Come on, you got to get in the key.
Well, hold on. Let me see.
No, that's right. It's okay.
Okay. So I would say that just be aware that your children they're aware. It's kind of like, you know your neighbor's schedule, even when you're not paying attention. You know what time they come home, you know what time they leave, you know what time the kids get off the bus. So imagine your child being intentional about following in your steps based on what you do. So try to make the best decisions that you can. Stand in the sacrifices, have those discussions, and just continue being great.
How does it feel for you to know that you have parents that are wealthy?
I was just discussing that with my colleagues yesterday because I was on Zoom and they was like, "Are you at the beach?" And I was like, "Well, kinda. I'm in a condo at the beach. I'm not outside. But they were like, "Oh my goodness! So like, is that your condo? Is that your parents' condo?" I'm like, "It's my parents' condo." And they're all like, "What do they do?" And I'm like, "Make good choices." So then you get an opportunity to spearhead that type of topic with other millennials who don't have the same experiences. So it's the trickle effect. The desired effect is to be able to bring everybody into the kingdom. And so when people look at people that are wealthy, it's not to have discussions about, what they do with their money, but more so conversation piece and talking to them about, kingdom wealth and like this is what God has in mind for your life too, to be able to spread the love in that way. So that's
good. But when you were younger, there were probably times when you resented, right?
I never resented.
Yeah, you did. No, but you. It was the other child. You was going to go. Okay. Mwah. All right. So Wanda, talk to us about that, because I know you're used to Randy always being gone, but where there's still those moments that you're like, woo, and then you have to remind yourself of your children. I don't know, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm just curious.
You know, I think that maybe it happened without me knowing, but here's what I want to say to that, right? Because I get a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm just so busy, and I want to, gosh, this is sensitive, but I'm going to say this, Dr. Jewel. Sometimes we worship our children. Okay, we worship our children, and I'm a mother. I'm a happy mom of 5. We worship our children, and in the neighborhood I live in now, kids are in 8 sports and after school science math club and all these things, and the parents really have no extra time to create because it's work and then go worship my children. There needs to be a balance. Here's what I know. When I was a kid and we were moving from apartment to apartment, there was no discussions. When I was a kid and the water was turned off, there was no discussions. When I was a kid and there wasn't enough food in the fridge, there was no discussions. There was no lunch money on the account, there was no discussions. We were being evicted, there was no discussions. And so my mama never had a conversation with me about why we were broke. Why do I need to sit down and beg my children for permission so we can go be rich?
Come on.
However, my children are very aware, and this is how we do this in our home. I don't say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I say, what problems do you want to solve when you grow up? Who are you? There are solutions and value inside of you, Xavier, A. Maria, Elijah, Taja, Amani. There's value inside of you. God puts you here to bring solutions to his people. What solutions do you feel called to? And when they're children, you're just pouring into their talents and you're kind of seeing who they are and you want to pour into that. My 11-year-old, he's a natural inventor / artist. Yeah. He's taking summer classes through a Harvard program for computer sciences. My little girl, A. Marie, she loves dance and movement, and she's been doing yoga classes online. My little Jaja right now, he's 5 years old. This week, we've been having him, Lord, he's the one. And we just been spending more time with him, reading, writing, learning about things. Yeah. And so, the truth is that just the way I behave and how they see mommy and daddy behave, that is the discussion. And there are times where daddy's got to go to Africa for a month. And you know what? Daddy gets to go help families. Gets to go help families, because do you know what daddy and mommy needed as children? They needed someone to step in and help our families. And those adults didn't exist. They didn't happen. I was a kid looking around going, where's all the people that could help my family? Does nobody know that we're living without lights, living without water, living with no food? Nobody knows or nobody cares. And so my children are really aware. We get to go out into the world, and what we do is we help families. We provide solutions and we execute. And so far, I haven't, they're satisfied with that. They understand, they love it, they're growing up in it. And I want them to grow up knowing that they are born by a creator who made them to be solution oriented. Yeah. And so there's conversations here and there, but I think we know, especially, this new age of parenting, we have to be careful that we're your example and that we're not like worshiping our children. Yeah. I hope you understand what I mean when I say that.
That's a word. That's a word, because here's the reality. I think when they're smaller, they don't know if you got money or not. But when they become older, I think it's very much connected to even their confidence. Right? Yes. Because it's based on how they dress. Some conversation with my son Benji, he's like, listen, when we were growing up, if we had on, pants that were too short or, shirts tattered, that jive messes with your confidence. So don't just see money as, I don't want money. No, it's a tool that can actually allow you to invest in your children so that you can go to the finest parts of the earth, and that they can know that the steak in Dubai tastes different than the steak in Australia, or that the steak in Australia tastes different from the steak right here off of the coast. So money impacts every area of your life. This is what I want to say as we close. First of all, Randy and Wanda, you guys are the cutest, okay? And And I love having these wealth conversations with you guys. I hope those of you that are watching on somebody's watch party, get back with them. Don't just sit here like, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good, girl. Oh, this is for you. This is for you. Wake up. This is for you. Create your own sales package. Don't just allow another 2020 to go by and wait for the pandemic to be over. You need to create pandemic wealth for yourself, right? So I'm excited you guys came on, Randy and Wanda. I love you. Guys, right back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Don't you miss it. Central Standard, 11 Eastern. Love you guys. God bless. Bye.
Love you, Dr. Joe. All right, God bless. All right, bye.
Bye.